morning, this is John with the Pine Tree. Hey, I have the great pleasure being here with Mike Nemi, and we're out here at the Trinint Golf Course. As many of you know, this project has been in the papers and in the press and even on the Pine Tree numerous times, and it is we want to give you a little bit of a tour of it so you can see what it is, because a lot of you we know have never been out here, and just to see what the fuss is all about, so to speak. Is that an accurate thing? So
see what everybody's missing.
Yes. Now, Mike, do you want to tell a little bit? Now, when did you start this process with the county?
We started the process, the actual application for the golf course project as a commercial endeavor in 2005.
Okay.
We had a meeting with all the department heads and two sitting county supervisors,
okay,
discussing the opportunity perhaps to bring Trinitas to the table as a commercial venture,
right,
with a component for overnight accommodations, for the component of preserving the open space,
okay, with
a component of preserving the 6,000 oak trees that are on the property, and also as an agritourism operation, being that we're centered the entire project around our 100-plus-year-old, 125-year-old olive orchard,
right,
the oldest producing olive orchard in Calaveras County. And it was really, designed for also as a showcase for Calaveras grown products in our retail space and our clubhouse.
Right.
Out here in the west end of the county, there's a shortage of overnight accommodations, so we're proposing a 30-room overnight lodge, high-end property, or high-end business opportunity, along with a high-end spa.
Right.
So we're trying to capture kind of the best of everything in Calaveras County embodied in one project. As we drive around, you're going to see a lot of habitat areas. We have a pretty extensive habitat conservation and land stewardship program going here. We have a wood duck village. We've got owl boxes. We're working on some ecologically correct ways to manage our pond and aquatic plant life that's not exactly what you want on a golf course.
Right.
But all those different things. The interesting thing that most people don't realize is we actually live here. And we've lived here as a family in this farming operation since 2001. And anything that impacts this property and the public certainly impacts our family first and foremost. I think that's why we're really supporting this latest DIR effort as a pretty thorough document. We agree with a lot of the things in it. There are a few issues that need to be mitigated that we're asking and seeking clarification on, but other than that, we're pretty excited about at least where we are today,
right,
and what this project holds for the future of Calaveras County, not just from an environmental preservation standpoint, but from an economic development opportunity as well.
Right.
Certainly, we're looking at providing 48 full-time jobs on site, 12 jobs, indirect jobs will be created in the local community. We're looking at revenue from this project, increasing the sales tax base countywide by 6%. The Transient Occupancy Tax, which people don't know much about. Certainly there's been debate about the 6% being increased to 10%, and that's a tax that the county receives for overnight guests on overnight accommodations.
Right.
And being that there's a shortage of those in this end of the county, adding more rooms to the pool, especially high-end nature, we can have an impact on the county's TIT or TOT tax base countywide by 12%. We'll be able to bump that.
Yeah.
Is a projection. So that's all good stuff, because that money goes to law enforcement, it goes to general fund, it goes to road improvements and things like that. One thing that's nice about neighborhood-wide improvements is we're proposing to widen Hospital Road for the whole project frontage. There's about $500,000 total in road improvements going in just in the neighborhood.
Now, the Hospital improvements, would those be primarily going down to 26 or over to 12? I mean, is it...
For its project frontage, plus it's from the stop sign at Southworth Road going south.
Got it.
Widening that road and then putting a full lane in for the whole project frontage, essentially, or where people enter and leave the project. Putting in a full turn lane there, and then shouldering the road, putting a true shoulder on Hospital Road, going southbound toward 26.
Right. Right.
So there's some great public benefits that are being proposed in this project. I think most people don't think about. Certainly, people think that construction of the golf course is somewhat questionable. However, we look at it more as a preservation aspect. Being that we're able to put a commercial opportunity forward that preserves so much open space, that calls for the removal of no oak trees. Oak tree preservation has been a hot topic, especially statewide.
Right.
Countywide, it's always been a debated topic. We have no oak tree ordinance here countywide. It's all voluntary. But being that we have a 6,000 tree preserve here, I think is pretty significant that most people don't realize. And the overall beauty of the project. I mean, people see this and it seems like it's been here for 100 years.
No, I guess the question is where everybody, I guess one of the hot topics says that you built the golf course without permits, you just did all the rest of the stuff. Now, has there been I guess one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is it's our understanding that for the actual golf course itself, not as a business entity, but as the golf course itself, there's technically there's nothing in the county ordinances that addresses golf courses as the landscaping aspect of it, or the course itself. It's not even addressed. Is that correct?
No, that's correct. I mean,
okay.
Certainly, this is perceived by the code as a landscaping project.
Okay.
And typically, if you're doing any earth moving or whatnot, you would be under the scrutiny of the building department to determine whether or not you need a grading permit.
Right.
And our experience was, the county did come and did a thorough investigation in 2003 and through 2004, and determined with the assistance of an engineer that we were not required to have a grading permit.
Okay, now you've had, there's been, on numerous cases you've had people from the planning department, building department, they've out here visited supervisors and toured the project.
Yes, yes, since the project started, we've had over 56 visits from county, state officials on the project for all different types of things, from well permits, from environmental inspections. I think the one thing that people miss is the point that county officials in 2003 and 2004 thoroughly investigated us, and whether or not we needed this or whether or not we needed that. To this day, the only permit the county has ever asked us to obtain is a state permit for stormwater discharge for construction.
Okay.
We to this day currently hold that permit. The county called out Fish and Game to investigate whether or not we were violating any state environmental law through the construction of the golf course. And we were found no violations occurred, and they've been here since 3 other times. So Fish and Game has been here 4 times in total, looking over the project.
Yeah.
Every time, all their visits have never resulted in any violations. So we've followed the county's lead and been working with the county for 6.5 years now. We've done everything they've asked us to do. We've entered in agreements in an environmental impact report after our initial presentation of our commercial version of the project in 2005. As an agritourism destination. In 2006, we started an environmental impact report, and that dragged on and on and on, and then the baseline was reversed last year to include studies prior to golf course construction. We entered into another contract with the county to do that revised EIR, which is currently on the street now.
Right. Now, for those of you, the people that some of the, I guess, for lack of a better term, the critics, is that say that it's not agritourism, or it's not ag. It's not ag. What would you, I see, from visiting the project, it does seem apparent that ag is mixed with the golf aspect of it very seamlessly. What would you,
it's well integrated, and what most people don't realize is the agricultural zoning, if you, from an economic standpoint, ag land out in this area is nothing more than grazing land. And so you're in a position where you could possibly achieve $15 to $20 a year per acre in grazing productivity. In our case, if you're not grazing, essentially your ag land is open space. It is wildlife habitat. It is oak tree and natural, natural features to it. And that is actually considered ag land. You don't have to have a cow on a grazing land to make it ag land. In our case, we've integrated some recreation. Okay, that's essentially what ag tourism is to bring people to a working farm for a reason that they would otherwise not come here for. In our case, we have the oldest producing olive orchard in Calaveras County. We are the largest.
Some of these trees date back
125 years.
125 years. Okay.
And we, we are actually the largest agricultural products producer in the west end of the county.
Okay.
We have a significant ag presence here. In evaluating, when we first purchased this property, what would be the best things to do with it? We evaluated whether we want to do a vineyard. We evaluated whether or not we wanted to make it completely olive trees. And the result of our analysis was that under the current zoning, we could have removed all 6,000 oak trees with no permit. We could have ripped the ground 6 feet deep and graded it level enough to accommodate a high-intensive agricultural operation. All of those would have devastated what we loved about this property, which you can see here, John, and appreciate yourself on site, the naturalness of it. And so we decided it would be more cost-effective. In 2005, we made the decision was to make it a commercial opportunity and a commercial operation. To be less intensive on the land and the environment, to lay a natural turf belt, if you would, of golf course through here. And once the golf course aspect, would be the reason for people, they would come here and purchase the olive oil, tour the property. They could appreciate and recognize the environment. As you've driven around here, you can tell this is more like a a bird watching adventure
Right.
as much as it is a golfing
Right.
adventure. So the non-golfers can really appreciate this property and the things that we're doing here under our stewardship programs
Right.
to appreciate those aspects that are considered agricultural.
Right.
I think that's how I would answer
Yeah,
the ag tourism
okay.
question. Yeah.
Now the question on zoning stuff, and this is one of the things that has been brought by kind of tongue-in-cheek the last few weeks. Now, you could have, in essence, done the pig farm or the because some people have said it was an interesting thing to where, well, maybe you should just do like 3,000 or 4,000 pigs out here instead. But I mean, I know that's an absurd example, but that is legitimate in ag zoning, isn't it?
It is. A number of things are legit in ag zoning. A couple of which, Calaveras County is a right to farm county.
Right.
And that takes precedent over any other activities associated with farming and agriculture take precedent over any other land use for
Right.
bordering neighbors. So if I were to have a pig farm, certainly the neighborhood odor, I mean, all you have to do is
Sure.
drive down the street, see a
Yeah.
chicken farm or things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
A stockyard. We
Right.
have year-round water on
Right.
this property. You can imagine how many cows do you think
You
we could
can
put out here?
do quite a few. All right. Well, anyway, we're
50,
digressing.
60,000?
What now? Let's see. I'm going to turn the camera around and go forward. We'll kind of. Now this is what hole are we on here? What is this here?
This here is the 15th hole.
Okay.
And you can see. Walk out here on the tee box.
All right.
This is the 15th hole.
Okay.
Plays out over the pond,
Oh wow.
heading south, and you see a great view of the orchard. to
Okay,
the
you have
right.
your olives here on the right.
Yeah, there's our ancient olive orchard. Now
Okay.
to the left are the lynx holes, where that was all. It's all just open areas
Right.
of the ranch. Very different landscape as you look around this whole
Mhm.
property. The character of the property, pretty unique. One thing to notice here, what you're seeing here at the bottom, this is a reclamation pond
Okay.
that reclaims runoff water and runoff water from the golf course, drainage water, and also from the orchard. That water is put back in the irrigation stock pond. We actually reuse it for irrigation.
Got it. So that's still part of a
Water
recirculating
conservation,
system.
yeah.
Okay.
Part of our water conservation plan is to reclaim and reuse as much water as possible.
Okay.
We are on groundwater here, so that's also something else in the ag zoning. When we were evaluating what else we could do with the property, if we were to put grapes in here, we could have done 280 acres worth of vineyard, but that would require removing literally all 6,000 oak trees, changing dramatically the entire contour of the property.
Right.
But then would also call for probably using anywhere from 500 to 600 acre feet of groundwater a year.
Wow.
So you talk about
Okay.
intensive farming and intensive intrusion in the actual landscape. This is probably the best fitted land use for this type of for our specific land here.
If it's going to be improved.
Yeah.
I mean, is it improved parcel? Yeah.
Yeah, as an improved,
Okay.
absolutely. I mean,
All
certainly
right.
makes more economic sense than grazing.
All right. Well, I guess we'll move on to the next spot. Oh, okay.
That's part of our Audubon International program. So we left all these here.
Okay.
It's kind of funny. Busby says, I never thought I'd think Shanice was nice. That buck brush, because they're all taking down pot farms and stuff. They're all climbing through all that.
Now, one little piece here on, we'll turn the camera on at the end. Now, you actually brought in olive trees?
Yeah, there's a project right around the corner from us, Olive Orchard Estates.
Okay.
Was a developer was over there. He was tearing out olive trees.
Right.
We love olive trees, and
Yeah.
to see them in a pile burning or just thrown out and destroyed is just like tearing out your heart when you
Right.
farm olives.
Right.
And here are these 100-year-old trees that were being destroyed, so we offered to move them. We put together a pretty big operation over a few days. We moved in 47 of these old-growth olive trees, and they're just absolutely beautiful.
Wow.
On this hillside here.
Now, what age are these?
Those are at least
About the
100
same?
years.
Okay.
Yeah. And they were on an old an olive ranch. Over there was a 200 and something acre olive ranch.
Okay.
That dates back to the First World War. I just had a discussion with a historian on the area, and he's telling me they used to use the olive oil for lubricant on mechanical devices and whatnot during the
Right.
First World War, which I
Right.
thought was interesting.
Oh, yeah.
So some historical significance.
Very nice. Hey, another little interesting piece on this one, when you see this course out here, and is that you wonder, man, who's the course designer? How'd this thing get here? I mean, this is laid out, I mean, just stunning. And I guess to say is, now Mike, this is your baby.
This is it. You know, this is kind of the field of dreams. It started out as a pipe dream, and you know, on paper.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of went out and just started doing it. You know, you have a ranch, and you just out there kind of goofing around like you would build your own landscaping in your garden.
Yeah.
If you would. You know, so it started with just minimal grading and finding natural golf holes that existed within the property.
Sure.
I mean, the one thing that's evident here, everything looks like it's been here so long. A lot of the golf holes play throughout the oak trees. I have oak trees in the middle of them. I mean, it's the unique features of the oak trees. I think we took out maybe 10 oak trees building a whole golf course.
Wow.
Which you can see, it's pretty expansive. You know, it naturally flows through the 280 acres. It doesn't look forced in any way.
Right. Now, had you always, ever since you were a kid, you always wanted to do this? Did you always want to go someplace and build a course?
Actually not. You know, in my previous home, I had a golf hole in the front yard.
Okay.
And, you know, coming here, we were looking to be in the olive oil business, and perhaps we were going to put an irrigation system in the olive orchard, and we thought, well, maybe have a couple golf holes around the orchard there.
Yeah.
And then it kind of just took traction from there. We had friends and family who loved the ranch, who wanted to move out here. And so it evolved, and that's when we went back to the county in 2005 and says, you know, we had a subdivision map for 12 homes that was going that we were proposing, and then we were having a couple golf holes around the orchard.
Yeah.
Then in 2005, we went back to the county and says, well, you know, maybe we can make the go of this commercial operation. How would you like us to apply?
Now, have you always been a golfer? I mean, is it one of the things?
I took up the sport when I was a freshman in high school. So, and I played high school golf in my junior and senior year.
Okay.
And I've always loved golf. You know, I played at about a 6 handicap before I started playing here, and I'm like an 11 here on my own course. I designed that course to match my own game, which is so fun.
Well, it's a beautiful thing. So it really is. I mean, this is field of dreams, so to speak, for Calaveras County, huh?
Well, certainly the Hawks don't mind this place.
We're gonna pan up here. We got some Hawks circling over right now.
There's some more Trinitas residents.
Yes.
It's been amazing ever since we started irrigating the golf course. What its rating is in the top like 2% of the country.
Wow, as far as difficulty. Oh yeah. Now I guess one thing that's kind of interesting is that people are talking about how well this course is played, that in playing with some of their, I guess involuntarily with some of the county, nobody's been playing it the last 9 months, right?
No,
I mean, basically,
myself, my family, and my invited guests, non-paying invited guests, have been we've had quite the experience playing the golf course. I mean, it's almost like, it's kind of surreal turning around here, and you'd expect, this is somewhere we'd expect to see, you know, people out here golfing. And all you see are, you know, some of our 11 employees out here mowing the golf course and maintaining the place. It looks more like a park than anything else.
So that's...
As you pan through, you see all these oak woodlands. The golf course just lays right in here naturally. We have 2 guys full time. All they do is prune and maintain oak trees.
Wow.
And that's why you can see the survival rate on our oak trees is so high. There's the hawk dropping down on the barrel.
Coastal feel almost, huh?
Yeah. We do a lot of agritourism related events for lunches and picnics and everything, barbecues. And we set up the lunch with the view in the background.
Yeah.
So you dine amongst the 125-year-old olive trees, the ancient olive grove, the golf course, and you just sit here and listen and hear all the birds.